The search for truth never ends. Introducing June's Journey, a hidden object mobile game with a captivating story. Connect with friends, explore the roaring 20s, and enjoy thrilling activities and challenges while supporting environmental causes. After 7 years, the adventure continues with our immersive travels feature. Explore distant cultures and engage in exciting experiences. There's always something new to discover. Are you ready? Download June's Journey now on Android or iOS.
RH, quer saber como voar no trabalho? É só usar a Flash. Com a Flash, você concentra toda a gestão de pessoas em um único lugar. Faça a admissão dos colaboradores e solicite mais de 8 categorias de benefícios. Ah, e você ainda pode fazer todo o controle de ponto. Conheça o novo onboarding integrado da Flash em flashapp.com.br.
Welcome to another episode of Don't Blame Me. Today's episode is Jonah Green. We talked about being a 21-year-old virgin and what do you do when your boyfriend blocks you on Snapchat?
This episode of Don't Blame Me is brought to you by Aptiv. Aptiv produces audio-based workouts created by certified personal trainers available through a mobile app. New members get 30% off an annual membership. Visit aptiv.com/blame. That's AAPTIV.com/blame.
Hi guys, welcome back to Don't Blame Me. Today we have a special guest. It's Jonah Green.
What's up, guys?
What's up, what's up, what's up? Have you ever been on a podcast before?
Yes.
Oh, whose podcast? Oh, Grace's?
No, Popcorn.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
What movie did you talk about?
We watched, it wasn't Back to the Future, it was...
Bill
and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Fantastic movie.
It was fun.
I listened to that episode a couple times because I was like, man, I'm funny sometimes.
Oh, I love that. I love that. When you're like, this is like a highlight reel of me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just fire.
You just
fire.
sit there like watching with a bowl of popcorn like, I am awesome.
Well, I hope you're equally as funny in this episode so you
I don't know,
can
it's possible.
listen to it again.
Well, now that you said that, I'm going to
I'm gonna jinx it.
really
We're
put a
gonna
lot of
manifest
pressure.
it. The secret. I don't know. We're just blowing to the mics now. If you guys are new here, this is my podcast. It's called Don't Blame Me, and it's an advice podcast where people, and I can explain it to you too, where people call in and leave voicemails and say things that are happening in their life that they need some advice on. And so then I do my very best to give maybe not the greatest advice, but the advice that you'll probably take. And I also sugarcoat it with like, you can't blame me if I totally fuck up your life.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
That's fun.
because I mean, I'm still holding my breath every day, being like, "Don't play a call," in which they're like, "Yeah, Megan, I took your advice and it ruined fucking everything." I'm waiting for that. So if you guys want to call in and leave voicemails, the number is 310-694-0976. Again, 310-694-0976. And international callers, you can email meghanpodcast@gmail.com with just a voice memo you record on your phone. Bonus points for British accents.
Keep it tight.
Keep it.
Ooh.
No, I'm talking about. Don't
I know. Yeah.
make it over 3 minutes.
Don't make it over
We've
3
had
minutes.
some long ones.
Yeah. Be quick. Be speedy.
But if it's over 3 minutes, we're not going to hate you.
No. And if it's really fucking good. It's really good. Like if you
good.
hooked up with your boyfriend's twin brothers, which happened.
This just sounds like porn, like a pitch for a
It's-
porno.
I mean, this one girl who did her life could have been a porno. It was great
Oh, good.
in a good way.
Good for her.
And Mel's here too.
Hello.
Hey, Mel.
How you guys doing?
So good.
Fantastic.
We'll hear how good you are at giving advice.
Oh, no, don't do that. Now I have to be funny and good at advice? I don't like
It's
this. I don't like this.
I mean,
This is a
I do
trap.
both all the time.
It's a trap. Don't ever go
Sometimes
on
I'm
this
a little cunty
podcast.
though. That's the thing. I can get a little cunty.
Hi, Megan. My name's I'm 21 and graduating from college in May, and I am a virgin. So just to sort of preface this, I've never really had a serious boyfriend growing up, and I grew up in a strict Christian household in a really small town, graduated with 30 people small, and I'm not necessarily waiting for marriage anymore, just kind of waiting for the right guy and the right moment. So I was just wondering when you thought was the best time to tell a guy that you're a virgin. So I've tried various times in the relationship, and if I tell them too early, they either get offended because they accuse me of thinking that they only want me for sex, or that seems to become their only focus in the relationship, and all they want to do is quote unquote help me lose my virginity. And if I wait until it comes up or until we're about to do the deed, they, say they don't want the responsibility or think I'm a prude or something like that. And then they just don't want to be in a relationship with me anymore. So like I said, I just want to know when you think it's a good time to bring that up in a relationship and, if I should bring it up at all.
I mean, you should definitely bring it up. I wouldn't just not. Damn. I mean, first of all, it sounds like you're just dating a lot of really shitty guys.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. That's like a clear sign that you're dating the wrong type of dudes.
Yeah, because I can't imagine any of my guy friends like saying that. Like if like I ask about a girl they're seeing, and granted not a lot of but do you know what I mean? Like it wouldn't be like, yeah, I fucking dumped her, she was a virgin. Not going to fucking do that.
Yo, can you believe that Jessica's a virgin?
Yeah, like what the fuck? So I think it's pretty clear that I don't know, but do you think there's a right time? You as a guy?
I mean, yeah. Look, I
like, should it be her Tinder bio? Virgin.
No, but I think that look, I'm a really big advocate of communication across the board.
Yeah.
I think outside of like sexual situations, just like if you are in any type of relationship, like a romantic relationship or a platonic relationship, communication is like the way to go and honesty, right? So like for me, if I was in that situation, I'd just be like, hey, full disclosure here.
But like what date?
I don't know. Whenever like on the first date, you're not going to sit someone down and be like, hey, by the way, I'm a virgin. Just
also,
so you know.
Are you a vegetarian? I'm not. Like,
Yeah. Like, here's three things about me.
I'm
I
a
love
virgin.
clothes, I love shoes, and never had sex.
Yeah.
Right. But like, I don't know. I would say once you guys have established a type of rapport where you feel as though you can tell them things that like you wouldn't tell a stranger. Yeah. I think that's probably where you just be like, hey, by the way, like, not to be weird. I'm not trying to make things awkward, but I'm totally a virgin, and I hope that's cool, and I hope we can still be friends.
Yeah,
like it doesn't.
I think it's the in between time of like I get like not saying it over dinner or whatever. I think there's a way like if your relationship starts getting like you start getting more physical and you're like making out or whatever and all that stuff. I think if you introduce it in the more like I haven't been in a serious relationship, like I'm not too experienced with that stuff, and like you can just be vague and be like, I'm not really like if you guys talk about like your exes, and if you get to that point where you're talking about previous relationships and you're like, honestly, like I haven't really been in a serious relationship, and like I want to be honest with you that I'm not really experienced like sexually, and saying that. But I think also if you say it with like, I'm not saving myself for marriage, I'm just like I've been saving myself for like the right guy. I think that's good, because I think if you just leave it as like I'm a virgin and like you're 21, some people might assume that that's like you just are saving yourself to marriage.
I also think just as a like probably a bad time to do it would be like
right before you have sex.
That's that would be.
So you did that?
No.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh God.
No,
like,
I didn't tell him at all.
You didn't at all?
No.
I had a friend who did that. And then
I just said, can you go slow? And
and did you tell him after?
No.
You never.
I didn't tell him.
He has no
Go
idea.
you.
He's walking
and
around.
I was 20, so I was like later. I had been in serious relationships, but it was like.
Did you want to get it over with?
No, it just kind of happened. We were working on a school project.
Yeah. Wait, what subject? Chemistry.
No, it was actually screenwriting. Yeah.
Set the mood.
I know. And we were watching Annie Hall, and then it just happened.
An aphrodisiac?
Right.
The one movie that's like known to get everyone turned on.
Right. And it just happened. And I didn't tell him. And it was fine.
Rad.
I think, but did you guys continue dating? Or
no, it was never like about dating. We were just hooking up.
Because I think that's different. I think because I had a friend like that who she went to college orientation and just like was gone for a weekend and came back with like not a virgin, and we're like, what the fuck? Like you just like had sex with someone there, and she didn't tell the guy. And for her though, it wasn't like I don't know, like I don't consider it like a, no offense as a guy here who whatever, but like your virginity is really not like it's as big of a deal as you make it, but it's so much more about you than like this guy who has this non-tangible thing.
My masculinity just got shattered. I can't believe you did that. You just shattered my masculinity.
So I think, if it's something, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Like even as a 24, right? That's how old I am. We've had so many people call into the podcast who are like, so many questions involve around like girls being virgins and being uncomfortable with that. And it ranges from all ages, like 18 to like mid 20s. Like I, even now as like a 24-year-old, that's what I was saying. I have friends who are both older and younger than me that are both like that are, that are still virgins. And I don't even think it's necessarily, as much as like it seems like a self-conscious thing, the right guy, again, none of my guy friends would ever be deterred by it. But I think if a guy is deterred by it, like that's your answer. Like he's not going to be a solid guy if he doesn't know you're a virgin, you sleep together. He's still going to treat you the exact same, and it's going to end the same way, whether he knew you were a virgin or not.
It's like the guy who's like, ew, don't talk about your period.
Yeah.
Ew,
oh
gross.
my God. Completely.
Dude. Oh my God. I don't even want to think about that.
And I'm like, you're going to be single for fucking ever.
Yeah. What are you, 12?
Or you're just going to have to be gay and date someone who doesn't have a period. Like if you're so sicked out by that, like that's like, I'm like, okay, pick your poison, dude.
Yeah. That's,
But so, I would.
And also, like, just like to wrap my point up in a nice, pretty bow, I think that sexuality is very subjective. Like all of sex is very subjective. It is a case by case thing, and you got to do what you're comfortable with. You know, like if you're not comfortable with something, don't do it.
And if you don't want to tell someone, don't tell someone.
Yeah.
And if you do it, but I don't. Say it for you, not so much about like the reaction and what their response is going to be. Because like they'll show their true colors no matter what, whether or not they knew that the first time you guys had sex was your first time.
Well, you don't owe it to them either. Like that's the thing. Like, you do not owe them anything.
No one can take your virginity.
Right.
No, it's not a thing.
Yeah.
Did you ride a bike ever? Your hymen's fucking gone. Did you play? Did you do gymnastics? Like that. Yeah. That thing is not there. And that's also just,
It's a silly concept to begin
with. Silly concept. Okay, on to the next one.
Hey, Megan. So I'm 16 and I've been dating this guy for about 3 months now, and everything's been going really great up until this point. But just recently I found out he's throwing a party through my friends because they saw it on his Snapchat story, but I couldn't see his story. So I asked him if he had me blocked, and he originally told me no, but then I asked him again a little further down the line, and he admitted that he had me blocked from seeing his story. He told me it was just because last time he got drunk, things got too out of hand, and I really didn't know what that meant, and he was kind of avoiding the question. And then just recently, one of my best friends told me that he had told her that he actually had me blocked a long time ago when we first started dating because he went to this party and got really drunk and blocked me from seeing his story. And I asked him about it, and he basically just admitted that he had messed up, and he said he was sorry and he would stop lying to me and all of that. But he did get mad at my best friend for telling me, which I don't like. And I also have a lot on my plate with school right now, and I really don't want to deal with this. And he's also been a little bit suspicious about other things, like telling me where he is and who he's with, and he always just kind of avoids those questions. And I'm just really unsure about what to do. So if I could get some advice, that would be great.
Dump his ass on 3. 1, 2, 3. Dump his ass.
How old was she?
16.
Oh,
yeah,
you dump him so fucking fast.
So fast.
If someone's being sketchy, if someone's acting sketchy, they're doing something sketchy.
Right.
Like you are never being crazy. Like that's the thing that I've learned as an adult. Like you are never, if you have any sort of like small suspicion, that feeling doesn't naturally like come up unless you have had like a ton of baggage and all that other kind of stuff. But if you're thinking something's wrong, something is wrong. And like also, why did he first of all, the fact that he told your best friend that sounds like he wants it to get back to you. It also sounds like he's just kind of like wimping out of this relationship.
Right. And was he not going to invite her to the party?
Why would you not? A, why would you not invite your girlfriend to a party? B,
also, why would you put a party invite on Snapchat?
Yeah.
That's excessive. Snapchat's dead. Do you not hear that, bro?
No, so I think this is actually something that I was talking about on Twitter like the other day. There was this girl who was talking about like, man, when I'm in a relationship, I'll notice the littlest changes, and I'm such a baby because I notice these little changes, and no one else is like that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That just means you have good empathy.
Yeah.
Like you're good at empathizing and you're good at like noticing. Like that means that you're aware.
Exactly.
And you understand because you're an emotionally intelligent person. So when you notice these small things, these are not small things, by the way. These are very large things.
Yeah.
These are huge red flags.
Yeah. You shouldn't be suspicious of like you're saying if you That's the thing. Like if your significant other is doing something and you can just tell what they're saying, like you feel suspicious about it, compare that to how they say like, oh, I'm going to the grocery store, I'm going to the gym. Something you know is true. If you have like a set repertoire with somebody where you're like, this is when I know how you're being truthful. I know how you talk. I know your cadence and all this stuff. And then something else changes. That doesn't make you crazy or you reading too much into it. That is genuinely, that's them lying about it or covering that up. And I think exactly like you're saying, you're 16, you've got like school and a lot of other stuff on your plate. I would just be like literally just fuck it. Like fuck this, not fuck this.
Don't fuck him, but
it's not, I don't find it worth it.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it sounds like that you have to break up with him.
She sounds like she's aware of it.
Yeah,
also, when did your friend know versus when did she tell you?
Yeah, there's just a whole bunch of things here. Like if like imagine, this is what I always like to do when I'm in one of these weird dilemmas with someone that I'm dating. Is imagine if your friend was telling you the things that you're telling someone else, right? Imagine if that was your friend telling you these things. How would you react? What would you tell your friend to do?
Do you take your own advice though? Like if usually?
I've gotten better at it. I've gotten better at that.
Impressive. I do not take my own advice at fucking all.
I've gotten better at it because I am terrible at self-control a lot of the time. And like I'm like a very emotionally driven person. So most of the decisions I make are like, no, but I love her. Yeah, but I love her. But I love her. But I love her. And like, it was so comfortable and it's so warm. Yeah. But like, if she's treating you like shit, then you shouldn't stay with someone. Yeah.
That's very true.
So yeah.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. And you know, I mean, if I want to give you my like 16-year-old Megan Betchy advice, break up with him, show up at the party, look super fucking hot. And I'm not telling you to make out with one of his friends, but if you did that, you didn't get the idea here.
Crickets.
Crickets. I'm just saying, no, don't make out with like best friend, but like look super fucking hot and like show, and like, because I also think that's the issue when, if he's making you feel crazy and all that kind of stuff, like you feel very insecure. So like and I think it's an opportunity, like dress up, hang out with your friends, even if you don't go to his party, but like if it was me, I would definitely
go to the party with like some guy, just like some hot dude.
Not even like one specific guy, but like look great and then feel validated and know that like this male attention that you can get, like that's still there. And like you can feel awesome about yourself. And like this isn't a condition of your relationship.
Yeah.
I'm also petty as fuck though.
No, so. I agree. I do think that when it comes to breakups, everyone wants to win the breakup. Oh. Right? Like, I want to be the one who comes out on top.
Always wants to win it.
I think that no one wins a breakup.
No, I don't think anyone should and can win a breakup.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, you're both sad, right? Like, you're both going to be sad. Yeah. And then, just be... my thing is like, I just want to be classy, right? Like, I never want like my ex, even if she treated me like shit, to see me with another girl. Like, I never want to, well, because I don't want to hurt her feelings. And also like,
so nice.
But also, I don't want to give her a reason to feel like she should have left.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah. Well, because like that's how you like win, right? As soon as you sit there thinking like, oh man, look at the way he's acting now. Like, man, I'm so glad. If you never give someone that reason, I think that's because like that's what everyone expects you to do, is to act petty. Right. Yeah. Is to be like, oh man, like I'm so hot. I'm so good. Like, going to like parties the next week and like posting photos with like random guys. Like,
yeah. And you're right. It doesn't look, it does.
It makes the person who like, is on the other end of that be like, oh, well, fuck you. Like, I didn't need this anyway.
Okay. Take Jonah's advice. That was way fucking better than mine. And now I know. Yeah. Wow. That's
choices.
Choices. You have You have options, girl.
You have the shoulder devil.
Well, always the shoulder devil. But yeah, and you're 16. You have a lot more life to live.
Yeah.
On to the next call.
Hi, Megan. I'm 15 years old and I currently go to high school. I am a sophomore, so I've done the whole freshman thing. My question, or my problem, I guess, would be, do you believe dating in high school is important? I ask this question because I've been dealing with some things of my sexuality and me wanting to get in a relationship but not knowing if I have the time or if I want to, kind of thing. I'm not sure if this is making sense, but my mentality is that I don't want to go to college or wherever I go to not knowing what it truly takes to be in a relationship, how hard you have to work at it, or just things like that. I see like my friends get into relationships and I feel like I'm missing out missing out on an experience, on having another person, I guess. I don't know. It's just, I think I see relationships as still like elementary school relationships where I know they're going to last a day, or I know that they're not going to last at all. And I don't believe on the whole like high school sweetheart thing. So
I have like it's not going to be an unpopular opinion, but it's kind of just like
a lot to unpack there.
Well, I mean, so I personally, I had boyfriends in like, okay, the elementary school, middle school, not a thing, but like I dated in high school too. I would say that the relationships you have in high school, I wouldn't say they necessarily like teach you how to be in a relationship in college, or like how to be like get used to being in a relationship, just because it's so different, because you like live at home and like you go to school with these people and like you see them all the time. It's just a different kind of relationship. The only thing that I personally am glad that I dated in high school, like I had my first love in high school and like that was like great and all that stuff. So it was like a great experience, but I wouldn't say it changed the way I date now. But I mean, it does also like, I don't know, like you can get the sexual stuff out of the way in high school if that's also like your MO, which like for me, I'm like, I'm really glad I didn't go to college a virgin, not because I don't think for me, like I liked having that little sense of confidence of being like, cool, okay, I'm like super awkward and like naive and all this stuff, but like I at least have that checked off. And so, but I wouldn't say, I don't know, I don't think they're necessarily a waste of time, but I don't think there's something to seek out. Did you date in high school?
Yeah, no, I have 2 points. My first, to piggyback off of what you're saying is, there is always this, this idea that you only have a certain amount of time to get in to like achieve certain things, right? Like if I don't have my first love by 17, then I'll never find it. If I don't get a job when I'm 25, then I'll never get a job. And it's like this weird persistent mentality that I think that everyone's got right now, where like, if I'm not young and beautiful and rich and famous and in love at 23, I'm a failure, right? But so the first thing that I want to like remind is like, you got time. Like there's so much time. There's so much time. And it's interesting because there is no, like, this is what I'm realizing right now is that there's no textbook relationship, right? A relationship is not an entity. It's how you interact with another person, and every single person is different. And in every stage of your life, you could date the same person at 16 versus 20 versus like 30, and they're completely different people. And I think that like we mature in how we interact with people the same way that we mature individually, right? Yeah. So I think that there's a like I almost don't feel like what you should be worried about is like, let me get in this relationship, like let me fall in love. Like the better thing is to just try and understand people.
I think it's the confidence. I think that's like the only thing that I would take away from like those relationships. It's like feeling more confident talking to a guy, like feeling more confident, like going on a date and knowing that stuff. It's not like, oh, the day-to-day of like the struggles of like really working hard at a relationship, because I think not that I don't want to like say that those relationships at that age like don't matter, or they're not as hard as they are when you're older. But I think if anything, it's just like, it's like riding a bike. It's the kind of practice and feeling comfortable. Like, cause like you're probably like the first time you asked a girl out, you're super nervous. The second time you're a little less nervous and all that stuff. You gain a little more confidence. No, am I wrong?
No. You're 100% right. No, I was like a really nervous kid for like up until I was like 19, honestly. And like I didn't have like a real relationship until I was in LA. Yeah. Like after I'd already moved out here, when I was like 19 or 20. That was like my first like real like.
And also, you don't live at home. Like that's such
the thing. That's the thing is it's a totally different dynamic,
completely different dynamic, because like dating when you're in close proximity in high school and college and all that stuff, like your friends and the people that you start relationships with, it's because you're around each other. It's like that's because like, oh, we're just here all the time.
It's what you have to choose from.
And then also like when you're out on your own and you're living on your own and you're meeting people, it's like you're able to see, oh, who do I want to go out of my way to see? Who do I have feelings for? before that like requires 20 minutes drive, like all that kind of stuff.
It's interesting too, though, because like as you get older, you start to want different things. Like when I was in high school, I wanted someone who was going to give me constant attention and constant affection and like constant affirmation and all of these things, like constant, like text me back all the time, talk to me all the time, let's hang out every day. And as I grow into my adult self, there are things that I want to do on a day-to-day basis that don't involve another person.
Yeah.
And part of developing is developing without another person.
Completely.
Right. So I think that like, this is just a very long-winded way of us saying like, it's again, very subjective.
Yeah. And I think if you find somebody that you're interested in, and I think like to loop back to like the questioning of sexuality and all that stuff, I think I don't want to, you didn't come forth and say where you're feeling at any, like where you're identifying, or if you're identifying at like where you are with that. But I think if you find somebody that you're attracted to and you like, I think it's a really great and really empowering thing to do is tell somebody how you feel. I don't necessarily think it's so much about someone else's response and like, oh, we're going to be in a relationship. But I think if you're open to letting yourself feel romantic feelings for anyone, regardless of like their gender or like what they identify as, I think it's awesome to like let yourself feel those feelings. And I think experiencing it on your own side and not even necessarily in a relationship, I think that's a really good time to grow. And also if you, I've got tons of friends who didn't in high school were kind of questioning where they were at. And like when they really were able to like identify their sexuality and what they were interested in, that happened a lot later. And so those relationships were different. So I would say if you feel pressure from other people to be in a relationship that maybe isn't the relationship you're into, I wouldn't go for that and do that just to say that you've been there. But I think if you end up liking somebody, I think like that's like, don't shut that down just because you're too young. Because like I, even now at 24, I can say like my first love was still totally my first love. Like I loved him as much as I could love somebody as like a 17-year-old. But like my boyfriend now, like I love him as much as I could love anyone at 24. And so I don't think that any of those things are ranked. They're all just so different. So I wouldn't say shut it down because you could be like missing a really great opportunity or part of your life that to look back on. But I also just don't think you need to date to get married ever. Like, even as a 20-year-old, like date to know who you are and to figure out what you're interested in.
Figure out what you want.
Yeah.
I also think to add on to what you're saying with questioning your sexuality, everyone questions their sexuality at a certain point. Like we all have. And there are varying degrees of intensity of how to experiment.
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't have to throw yourself into the deep end to be like, hey, like, let me just go on Pornhub and watch like a different kind of thing. Right? Like, let me just go find out. Let me see what I like. There are lots of different ways to experiment without pressuring yourself to go and date someone that you might realize that you don't have those feelings.
That's totally true.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Sexuality is a spectrum and it's also.
Exactly. Yeah.
Everyone falls on different numbers of that and you're still figuring it out. So I just wouldn't shut down any emotions that you have. Should we go on to the next one? On to the next call.
Hi. I am 19 years old and I'm in a really loving relationship with a guy who really brings out the best in me and makes me happy, all that jazz. We've been dating for almost 3 years now. We were really close friends for a while before that. So we do have a strong relationship. However, recently he has started smoking marijuana a lot, like multiple times a day, every day. And at first when he started doing it, it was because his roommates, who were also his fraternity pledge brothers, were doing it. And at first he was doing it on special occasions, and I didn't love it, but I was kind of like, oh, okay, whatever, like I can let that go. But recently it's escalated to the point that it's putting a strain on our relationship. He's canceled plans with me because he wanted to smoke with the guys instead. And I understand that spending time with your friends is important, but he was canceling on me more frequently than I appreciate. And there was times when he would say he didn't want to go to dinner with me because he couldn't afford it. And then he would go spend $40-50 on weed that same night. And I've tried bringing it up to him and bringing up ideas to compromise with it. I've said, oh, what if you just do it on special occasions? Or what if you make sure you spend time with me during the day, and then at night if you want to do it, then that's fine. Or what if you make sure that we still get quality time, all that stuff. And he'll kind of say okay when I bring it up, and then he won't actually act on it. Like, he'll just show up to our plans, like, hi or whatever, and I point that out, and all he can say is, oh, well, I enjoy smoking. I'm not going to quit. I want to do it during college before I graduate and get a job where I can't. And I understand that, but it's getting to the point that it's putting a strain on our relationship, and we've never argued about anything like this before, so I don't really know how to navigate a fight like this with him, because other than the smoking, he is the most amazing guy I could ever ask for, and he is really loving and affectionate and everything I could ever want. It's just the smoking, and I've tried compromising, but I'm just having trouble. I don't know if I'm not communicating it well enough to him, or if there's something else I can do. So I could just really use some advice.
Your boyfriend's just turned into a stoner. That's like ultimately what it is.
It's hard though, because it's hard to watch someone change, right?
Yeah, especially in a relationship. Like when you're dating someone, I think that it's
So there's like the two sides, right? Like there is, you obviously, like people can't stay static, right? Like people are always growing and changing. It's hard when someone grows in a direction that you do not also grow
and that you didn't sign up for. Like that is something, if you started dating someone, would be a deal breaker.
Yeah.
That I think.
That's really hard.
I mean, here's what I'll say. I think I don't know how long, did she say how long this has been going on?
That's what I was trying to figure out.
Yeah,
too. I don't think
because I mean, like,
she didn't say.
Yeah.
We've all had stoner phases. I will fully admit to it. I've never had a serious stoner phase while in a relationship. It was very much like Megan had mono, her and her boyfriend broke up, like couldn't eat anything, was like super skinny. And I was like, I'm just getting high all the fucking time. I'm like graduating high school. Yeah. So, but it didn't affect anybody besides me. So I would say but I would also say that didn't last forever. That was probably a 6-month period or something like that. I think, I don't know. I think the whole thing of him saying that he wants to smoke and enjoy himself while he's in college before he gets a job, that I think I totally understand what he means there. And I think that's him basically giving you a timeline. I just think it's a really fucking long time that you're supposed to just deal with kind of an unmotivated, just stoner boyfriend. I think if he wants to smoke with his friends, that's cool. But that it just can't be. I think you need to draw the line. I think you need to, because obviously this isn't a big deal to him. And I think, I'm not saying that you've downplayed this at all. But you're even saying that you feel like you're having a hard time communicating this. I would say something along the lines of being so I've said this to guys that I've dated before. And if you listen to this podcast, I date some stellar fucking guys. My boyfriend now, he's pretty cool. But the rest of them are all fucking awful ones. And I dated a lot of users and drug dealers, to get dark. And for me, I am super, super uncomfortable around drugs, probably because of that. I'm sure that was kind of where it started. Sure. So for me, I tell people when I date right off the bat, where I'm I'm really not comfortable. I don't drink. I'm really not comfortable being around anyone who's doing hard drugs. I don't want to be at a party, even if you're not doing it. I don't want to be at a party where there's coke. I don't want to see that stuff. I don't want to be around that. And I'm saying that if you're going to go do that on your own time, and you're going to go to a party and participate and all that stuff, I don't feel comfortable with the person that I date, being actively participating. But if your friends are doing drugs and you're not doing it and I'm not there, fine. But none of that you can't bring that home, that sort of a thing. So I think even though you didn't establish this at the beginning of your relationship, I think you can say something where it's I don't care if you smoke and you get high with your friends. That's fine. But I still want to date you. I don't want that to change our relationship. I don't want you to show up high to a date when I want to go do something that. For me, whatever you do on your free time with your friends, sure, that's your thing. But if it infiltrates into your relationship, I think you need to tell him, you fucking show up high one more time to a date, I'm done. This isn't this. Because I also think there's medical marijuana and all that stuff. I have no issue with weed, but if I was dating someone who was constantly stoned all the time, and you feel you can't do stuff that you want to go do, and that, I think it's just not fair.
Yeah. No, I think that everything that you're saying is pretty on the nose. I think that, again, when you were talking about confidence is understanding your morals and your character, right? Yeah. That's what your character is. And it's really knowing what you like, what you don't like, what you're comfortable with, what you're not comfortable with, and then sticking to those guns. So if there's a thing that's happening that makes you feel uncomfortable, no matter what the consequences are, I believe you should always stand up for that.
And I always think, like, even if something makes you feel uncomfortable, that's always valid. Like, however you feel is valid. You might be like, oh, am I overreacting? Or I'm like, if you're overreacting or not, you're going to feel the exact same way.
Right.
So address the emotion, not like, oh, am I feeling crazy for feeling this? And as great as as awesome and stellar as of a guy as he is, if he's not willing to like meet you, like get at this point, meet you halfway, like then he's not that great of a guy. And all the rest of it, I think you need it. I don't know. It's like we talked about this before when which ended well, really nicely. A caller had called in and her husband was a Trump supporter. He's no longer a Trump supporter. But I think ultimately,
it's a good husband.
I think ultimately, like if it's not so much about him smoking weed. It's kind of about being disrespected, about like your time is being disrespected and he's not listening to you. So it's not just like, oh, I don't like you smoking weed. It's like, you can smoke weed and have fun with your friends, but you can't cancel on plans with me. You can't do all this other stuff. If he was doing all those things and had nothing related to weed, you'd still be annoyed at him. Like, it's not necessarily the catalyst. It's his actions that he's doing. So I would say that to him, where it's like, it's not the weed, it's you bailing on me. It's you not wanting to do stuff that we normally do. And it's like you ditching me and not hanging out with me. Like if you were doing all of this to like hang out with another girl, I'd be pissed. Like, if you're doing this to like go hang out with your buddies and you're just ditching me all the time, like you'd still be mad. I don't necessarily think it's like the weed thing. Yeah,
a person that won't meet you in the middle. Like, it also sounds like you are a very mature person.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're a lot more mature than people are at 19. And I think that having that emotional maturity to understand what you do and don't like means that you have to be able to sit this guy down and just say, hey, look, this is how I feel. I'm not coming at you. I'm not attacking you. This is just the things that I'm feeling. How do we make sure that we both get what we want?
Yeah. And I wouldn't say give him an ultimatum or a timeline, but you yourself know and be like, tell him. And then in your head, be like, okay, I'm going to get like, if I don't see some active change in this, then know that like you're not walking away without like putting all your effort in. Like you've tried and you've told him. And if he's not able to change there, that's on him. Like you can no longer, there's nothing else that you can do.
Yeah. It's very freeing to walk away knowing that you did everything you could.
Oh, totally. That's great. Okay, we'll take a break and we'll be right back.
This episode of Don't Blame Me is brought to you by Aptiv. Aptiv produces audio-based workouts created by certified personal trainers available through a mobile app. Aptiv makes the highest quality training available to everyone with a carefully selected group of certified personal trainers that guide you through each and every workout. The trainers have a wide array of personalities, so you can even find the personal training style that motivates you best. Plus, Aptiv's in-house music production team partners with every trainer to create music playlists that are perfectly timed to the intensity and pace of your workout. Like when you need that extra boost, the music keeps you going and motivated. It pumps you up. It gets you swole. But when you're ready to slow things down, the intensity of the music dials down with you for that cool down. Whenever or wherever you like to work out, at the gym, at home, outside, when you're traveling for business, with your dog, with your cat, Aptiv is ready to go along with you with their mobile app. It's like having a teeny tiny little personal trainer in your pocket. Whether you're interested in running, strength training, indoor cycling, stair climbing, yoga, or even meditation, Aptiv trainers give you the guidance you need to be better at all those types of exercises that you love, delivered in a flexible audio format to make fitness a lasting part of your routine. Aptiv has classes for all fitness levels from beginner to intermediate, even to, those advanced people. And with more than 2,500 workouts available on the platform and more than 30 new classes added each week, there's always a new workout to try. Or simply pick the type of guidance that you're feeling up for that day, whether it's technical training, high energy coaching, or boot camp style intensity. If you had a bad week and you're like, I need someone to whip me into shape. They also have a full maternity program. I don't know if anyone listening to this is pregnant, but not that I have baby fever, but I just love babies. But I think it's really cool that there's a full maternity program. So it's broken down by trimester so you can work out and build strength for a healthy pregnancy and delivery. And if you are super, super, super ambitious, they have a 5K, 10K, half, and full marathon training programs. Whoa. I'm personally a huge fan of fitness, as you guys know, if you follow me on Instagram and everything like that. And I really, really, really love Aptive. I think it's so impressive that you can just have a trainer in your ear. There's nothing more nerve-wracking than like walking up to a weight rack and not knowing what you're doing. But here, it literally feels like you have someone whispering in your ear, be like, it's okay, don't worry, you got this, it's gonna be fine. And it gives me that sense of confidence in the gym, because gym anxiety is totally real, even as somebody who works out all the time. I still get nervous when I go to the gym and I'm like, oh no, what if people are judging me because I don't know what I'm doing? This always makes me feel like I know what I'm doing, and I get a really good workout. I'm able to push myself like I would if there was a real trainer right there. Subscriptions start at $14.99 billed monthly or $99.99 for an annual membership. For a limited time, new members are going to get 30% off an annual membership, which is just $69.99 for a whole year of unlimited workouts. Visit aptive.com/blame. That's AAPTIV.com/blame.
Okay, guys, we are back and we are going into the next call. And I liked that noise.
Hi, Megan. I'm 16 years old, and I was calling because in the last couple months I've been dealing with a situation where I was talking to this guy, and he got me really vulnerable and made me think that he really liked me. And so I did something I'd never done before, and I sent him pictures. And somehow, without like screenshotting them on Snapchat, he found a way to save the pictures. And then around 2 months after we stopped talking, he began to send them around to people in the school. We've kind of figured out the situation and gotten it stopped, but now I'm dealing with the residual fear and lack of trust. And I feel like I don't know how to talk to anyone anymore. I feel like I've only ever been approached for that kind of stuff and not for like someone talking to me. So I deal with the situation where I don't know how to talk to a guy normally, and I automatically assume that he just wants me for my body. I learned that it's a lot harder for me to trust people than it used to be. And after being so vulnerable with him, I haven't been vulnerable with anyone else, because I have this residual fear that it's going to happen again. I know you probably can't do anything about it, but if you could just tell me why you think I don't trust people and how you think that'll change, or how you think I could change it, I'd really appreciate it.
I had that happen to someone that I dated.
That your nudes got out?
No. Like I dated someone who had
did.
that happen to her, and it was like
awful.
Like she is still dealing with.
Yeah, that's what I would say automatically.
Yeah.
Like you're completely feeling like not trusting. I think that's a
so
given.
Warranted. Yeah.
And I also, first of all, I know you said you guys are dealing with it, but like revenge porn, like that's what you can't.
It's not just that. It's she's underage too.
That's
exactly.
That's
like this
illegal.
This isn't. This shouldn't.
Illegal.
If your school's dealing with it and like you feel like, okay, well, I've talked about this. Like people know he's stopped doing it. Like I genuinely, I'm not gonna tell anyone like press actual charges, but like that's something, if you feel like you want that kind of closure, like legally. Like,
but she can also get in trouble too.
For sending it?
Yes, because it's child pornography.
Yeah.
She's underage.
If you're sending a picture of yourself?
You can send, if you send it to someone, she can actually get prosecuted as well.
Oh, fuck. I take that back then. I'm so sorry.
It's distribution on both ends. It's a really bad situation.
Yeah.
That's a shitty dude. That's a
yeah.
shitty person.
And any guy who's like coming up to you and like being an asshole, like soliciting you for like that kind of thing, it's
just
such
gross.
it's such
gross.
like a clear sign of immaturity that I even though it might seem like you're never going to escape it, you totally will. Not only will you escape it, like when you go to college, you meet new people. When these people grow up, they're going to be absolutely mortified at how much of a shit they were.
Yeah.
Like this is such an immature thing and you see this in like TV shows and stuff when this kind of stuff happens. And I remember there was a girl I went to high school with, or we grew up together. So before that, but I don't remember even exactly what it was, which proving to you that like these things people actually forget. Something had happened where like, I don't know if it was like a picture or a video or even just a story of like her being at a party with like a bunch of like older guys and like her getting with all of those guys. Now in this climate, I'm like, okay, first of all, why did all of us think gross of her? That sounds like a terrible situation that she was forced to be in. But more than that, as we've all, not only since we've all grown up, she's friends with the guys we went to school with and like the girls we went to school with. Like it was a really big gossipy drama kind of thing for a little while. And it super fucking sucked for her, I'm sure. I can't speak for her because I'm not her. But like now as an adult, none of us think of that when we think of her. And it's more of like an embarrassing thing of like, holy shit, how could all these people been so judgmental on something that nobody intended to get out?
I think this might be, this is my response to a lot of things like this. There is no shame in going to therapy.
Oh yeah.
To talk about that, because that's like a very traumatizing experience. Like that's not just like, I was traumatized. Like that's like a personality changing thing. Yeah. Like that's like not just violation, but publicly violation, like publicly violated. I think that a lot of the feelings that you're feeling right now are things that someone like a professional could really help you work through.
Yeah.
And there's no shame in that either. That's a legitimate thing that's happened to you. And don't let anyone try to downplay the importance and like the gravity of like what's just happened to you. Like you feel the way you feel right now because you were violated.
Yeah. And I also think like, I'm all for like taking control back and all that kind of stuff. But like, if you're ever in a relationship where it comes along lines like send me pictures, you're totally more than like allowed and anyone is, regardless of what you've been through at any point in your life, being like, no, I don't do that. I'm not comfortable with that. That's not like a prerequisite. It's not like, oh, here's the basis and like us getting together and like relationships. This is something that you have to do and like get over a fear of. We first say I've never once sent nudes ever. I one time tried. I was super fucking drunk and had this like terribly blurry picture. It was of nothing. And my friend threw my phone in the pool before I could send it. And I've never sent that just because, that doesn't mean that like I'm not, I don't know, like that's no shame on anyone for not feeling comfortable doing that. Mm-hmm. And if you felt comfortable doing this, sending those pictures to that guy before, and now you don't feel comfortable sending it to anyone ever, that's fine. But if you get to a point where you feel comfortable sending something to someone else, I think like having that fear of those things getting out, that's totally legitimate. It's not something that you have to ever do. Like, it's not like, oh, this is the same thing as like making out. Like this is like, we have like, these are the steps of a relationship. Right. It's not. It's totally like no shaming if people want to send pictures. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're not comfortable with it, there's also nothing wrong with that. And you can feel, and you have every reason to never want to send pictures like that again.
Right.
But I also don't want it to turn into like, oh, he took that thing from you that you like, now you can't do it because of him.
Right.
So I think like you have to, and like exactly what you're saying, like therapy, I think is a great thing because again, like not only I hate being like, you're such an impressionable age, but like, I remember one time I had like a terrible zit when I was 16 and some kid made fun of me for it. And I didn't go to school for a week because I was like, just so embarrassed. And I would say like, I don't think that at any age that would be awful. And that would feel super shitty at 24. It'd feel super shitty at 30, at any age. So I think talking about it with a therapist would be really great. And then also like, I don't know how heavily involved your school is. And if you feel like you have like a safe spot and you've got friends and people and all that stuff who can stick up for you and you can really kind of like shield you from people saying nasty, negative things. But I also wouldn't, if someone says something shitty and gross about it, report it to the school. Like I would say like keep a running tally of that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make you like an uppity bitch. Like if anything, you're helping your classmates not to grow up into like terribly misogynistic people.
Boom.
Yeah.
God, that makes me so sad.
Yeah. And we have a lot of underage listeners and I just don't want to gloss over the fact that even if you take a selfie of yourself and you're underage and you send it to someone, coerced or not, you can get punished by law for sending child pornography. That person can get punished too. And then anyone they send it to or show it to can also get punished. So we just be careful. This isn't something I had to deal with when I was young, but like, seriously, be careful.
Yeah.
Scary stuff.
Yeah. And I think ultimately, if you care about the person that you're with, let them know that. And like, hey, I know you want me to send pictures, but even though I trust you and all that stuff, if I send it, I could get in legal trouble. And then you having it, you could be in legal trouble. And you don't want to do that to somebody that you actually really care about.
Yeah.
And just like go make out. Okay, on to the next call.
Hey, Megan. I'm 25. I've been married for a year, and I have a newfound monster-in-law. For the first 3 years, my husband and I were together. She was great, and we talked weekly. Every time we went, it was like family. And I was so excited to become a part of her family, not just my husband's wife. And I let that be known all of the time. And things were great until the weekend of the wedding. And she came, and it was awful. She, for the next 6 months, spread rumors about me, about silly things, about big things, things that were never true. She gave out my number to family members, to coworkers, to friends, to old coworkers. I received, oh my gosh, almost 100 maybe messages in some sort of way via social media, my phone, just harassing me and telling me how awful I was. And it just broke me. I have so much anxiety anyway, and I have a chronic illness. This doesn't make it any easier. And about 8 months into our marriage, she finally, after being confronted, because she denied all of it, and once I had all of my proof that I showed her, she finally apologized. But I'm still so angry with her. It caused so much distension in my life and my husband's life and our marriage. It got to a point where I was ready to walk out, and I couldn't handle it anymore. And my phone ringing would cause panic attacks on a daily basis. And I'm just not ready to forgive her. And right now she's going through kind of a mini self-induced crisis and wants us to be there for her, but I just can't find the patience or the respect enough in me to pick up the phone and respond to her. How do I go about forgiving her? Am I allowed to give it time? Am I right in how I feel, or am I just overreacting and need to get over it? Thank you so much.
Holy shit.
Fuck. You're not overreacting. That's insane.
That's the plot to a movie.
Really. And also, like, why? I just want to know why. Like, what was when you confronted her and you guys talked about it? Like, what was her reasoning behind it? And what were these like lies and all this stuff that she's spreading? And also, who is she texting? That like, how does she have 100 people who have like no fucking time to then fucking harass you? Like, what is this? This is like the same time when we had the same call with like we had a call with this girl, her boyfriend's mom was like crazy and like was like her just all over all these people. I'm like, where are all these adults? Do they have jobs? Like, what is all this extra time they have to harass their like
really
younger,
weird.
their like sons and daughters and their significant others? And what does your husband say about it? That would be my other question. It seems
that's the big one.
Yeah, I think especially if you're saying that you felt there was a point where you were ready to walk out, that to me seems like that you weren't necessarily getting what you needed from him, because like at a certain point, I'm like, if she's being that insane and that crazy, and your husband would then be like, "Hey, mom, you're out of our lives until you can get your shit together and like treat her with respect, because you guys are an entity now." But if it's
part of the family,
and if like, that's not, and I also, do you think that she needs to be there for her as she's going through stuff, as like the mother-in-law is now going through stuff and like wants her to be there for her?
This is a lot to unpack, right? So let's start from the base.
Yeah, because they were together for 3 years and everything was great, and then something happened. So what was the catalyst that happened?
Married? I think if it's the weekend of the wedding, that sounds like she didn't want you guys to get married.
It sounds like she is having some, like, it sounds like this has nothing to do with the caller. This sounds like it has everything to do with some kind of like midlife crisis. Like, my son is old enough to be married. Yeah. Like, I mean, like they're based off of like context clues here. It sounds like maybe the mom and the son have like kind of a relationship that's like a little closer than like the everyday relationship, and maybe the mom is being overprotective and the son doesn't know how to stand up to the mom.
Yeah, if it's a single mom household too, if you don't feel comfortable.
Oh, dude. And if she's not married, maybe it's like there is like that whole dynamic of like, that's my man. Like you can't have him.
But I also think regardless of that, I don't think any of it's justified.
No, God, no.
At all. And I think like
that's a crazy person.
And it sounds like she didn't want you guys to get married, which sounds fucked up to say, but like just because everything was fine until the wedding weekend, that like it seems like that's kind of where this is all pointing to. And they got married 8 months ago, a year ago. And this has been going on for a year. I just want to know, if your husband has done anything to put silence to this, because like, first of all, you're not crazy for feeling like I get panicked every time my phone rings and like I constantly think everyone's mad at me. And that doesn't happen that much. But if like something like this had happened, I would completely lose my shit. And I think first of all, I genuinely don't think you need to forgive her. I think like if you can, whatever you need to do to like, whether it's like, I don't know if you're already in therapy or like being able to deal with that stuff, whatever you can do to make yourself feel great. I don't think that has to do with like forgiving her. I think you can be civil with her, but no, I don't trust this lady. And I don't think that, and like, I feel like she's shown her true colors to you that I think you need. I mean, I'm also the kind of person, like I very much people are not as complicated as they seem. And I think like whatever someone shows you at face value, I think that's pretty telling. And I think like as great as she was during the good times, how awful she was, I don't think can be like, I don't know, swept under the rug. But she was so great all these other times. I think like no matter what you're personally going through, how you treat everyone else in your life, I think is really telling.
I'm still working through this because I don't 100% know. So I'm just going to throw this out there. When you're married to someone, you're married to that person, right?
Yeah.
And there's like this overused trope in like a lot of movies.
Family, you mean?
No, what I mean is like in movies, right? Like there's the whole trope of like the daughter's dad hating the husband.
Oh yeah,
right? That's like a thing. Is there a way that like she just stops being a part of the dynamic? I don't know. Like, I don't know.
See, okay.
How do we, like, what do you do there?
Okay. Here's what I'd say.
Yeah.
I've definitely like gotten along really well with significant other's parents, like mom. And it's, you're exactly right. Where it's like the father-daughter, the issue with the father and this girl's boyfriend husband. And then it's the mother-son, the issue with the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law. There's a reason why J.Lo made a fucking movie, Jane Fonda. Like that's a real thing.
Right.
I've had various relationships with like my boyfriends of like my whole life and their families and their parents.
Yeah.
And no matter what, ultimately, like there's not really a way to navigate it without like no matter what, you're going to have to suck up. Like you're going to have to like bottle it in and deal with some stuff that you don't really want to. That's why there's all those jokes about like visiting the in-laws and all that kind of stuff. Like my high school boyfriend's mom fucking hated me and I could do nothing. No matter what I did, she hated me and I could do nothing to like change any of that. But I'm not going to like tell my high school boyfriend, like, by the way, your mom's like a crazy bitch to me. Because ultimately like she's always going to win that battle. You're never going to win as a significant other. I think at a point when there's like little things that you can deal with and that kind of come with the territory. But when it gets to a point that makes you question your current relationship, if you want to deal with that for the rest of your life, that's the time when you have to tell your significant other and they have to intervene. Otherwise, I think like he's picking somebody who's treating you this way. And in turn, he's okay with someone treating you like that. Yeah, and even if she stopped. Is there like family
counseling that you could go to? God. Is that like, what do you?
But I mean, you could. That could help.
Yeah, like that's like the only thing that's coming to mind is like, again, I don't mean to be like, oh, call a professional. I'm 22 and dumb, but like, call a professional. I'm 22 and dumb.
No, I fully agree with you with that. I think like she's definitely dealing. And even now, what you're saying, she's like a self-induced crisis right now. Even though she's dealing with that kind of stuff, I think if you want to be the bigger person and be there for her, but ultimately you have to look out for your own mental health. And like, if that's going to take you steps backwards, you don't owe that to her. Like the only thing that you have control over is how you feel. And even if you think you might be helping her by being there for her and all that stuff, if it's ultimately going to harm you, I don't think you're at the right headspace that you're able to help somebody else.
Yeah, because she did say that the mother-in-law did apologize. So
Yeah.
it's like, what do you have to do to get over that?
Right.
If she's not still doing those things to you, what?
I think it's the distance. It's like taking the space and like maybe, and it's definitely dialing back in like the conversations and spending as much time together and not letting her in as much, like not like giving her as much ammo, if you know what I mean, like not being so personal and like kind of keeping it surface level until you feel, or if you ever feel like at a point where you can get deeper with her. But I think just making sure you're kind of keeping everything at arm's length. And then if it happens again, being very vocal with your husband and saying that just so everyone's aware of it. I think that's probably the good thing.
And maybe asking why.
That's what I wonder. Like, what's the reason why?
So ask her, maybe that's what's keeping you from completely forgiving her.
Because you have no idea why.
Knowing why she did it.
It just feels like a drive-by shooting.
It's
weird.
It seems very out of left field. And also she's apologizing for doing it.
She knows she messed up.
It's super fucking stressful to be like, okay, well, you're apologizing for doing it. How do I know you're not going to do it again? Like, you don't have any of that comfort of knowing, like, not that I'm saying that you did anything to make it be that way, but you feel like at a certain point you want to know why someone did something. Even if you're like, well, what if I did something to contribute to it? You're constantly going to feel anxious thinking that you're about to walk into the situation because you have no idea when it's like going to go off. Yeah,
and trust is an earned thing. And it's such a strange thing to have someone earn your trust over 3 years.
Yeah.
And then just say, fuck that.
Yeah.
And get rid of it. And then expect you to trust them again.
No, it takes a fuck ton of time to trust somebody again. And it's a show, not tell thing.
Well, that's the problem is like, it's already, it's like, I believe that you shouldn't just like trust someone off the bat, right?
Yeah.
I feel like trust is it's an earned thing. Yeah. And so for a person to make a decision like the one she made, they clearly don't respect and understand what trust means.
Yeah.
And that is maybe, again, a thing that if like once the dust is settled and, you know, some time has been taken, maybe there is the option to go to like family counseling and say like, hey, let's talk about this. Let's have a mediator in the middle and let's find out why this happened.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's a great idea. So it is now time for Producer's Corner, which Producer's Corner is when a producer chooses their favorite question, the most out there question, a memorable question, or it could be a callback, like a feedback from like a follow-up from another caller updating us to like where their situation's at now, or if someone had some interesting insight on a call they heard on another episode. So the options are endless. What do we got, Melissa?
We've got the last option.
The last option, someone else's opinion on one.
So this is from season 1, episode 13. The original caller had just started dating a guy and she'd never really been affectionate to guys before. And so she didn't know how to go about it.
Was this the dust thing you said?
Yes.
It's so confusing.
The lint.
The lint. So that call was about a girl who was starting to flirt with this guy and she wasn't sure how to show her affection because she is unexperienced or was. Who knows? It's been a while. Maybe she's not unexperienced anymore. She's unexperienced and she didn't know how to like really reciprocate the kind of like physical touch sort of a thing just with flirting and didn't want to give him the idea that she wasn't into him because she wasn't super comfortable. So the advice that I had said was kind of bite the bullet and make like a joke about not being super experienced so he knows not to read into maybe you being a little more awkward. He doesn't think that's because you don't like him. It's he can know that like, oh, she's just not super experienced. And it's kind of like the first call here. I basically had just said that if that scares him off, then he's just a shitty guy in general. And a good guy would never be afraid of that. And then the actual like touch thing, Mel can take that away. She had some great, really insightful thing that confused the shit out of me the first time she said it.
Yeah, so I said imagining that the guy had like lint on him or something.
Well, so you really what you said was do the old pick the lint trick. And I was like, the fuck? But no, that's what it is.
Yeah, so you just pretend that they have something on them.
So there's an excuse to touch it.
Yeah, it's an excuse to touch him. It could be it.
You have lint on your dick, man.
Yeah. Sorry. And then you just like rub it and that just
Sorry, I shouldn't have said dick right before.
I'm just like imagining like two orangutans like.
Yeah, I know.
It's just like a little caress.
It's good though. It makes sense because like it's the same thing that I felt like when I was younger, that if I like had a crush on a guy, I would always, or even now, if I was like when you first start dating someone, I always want an excuse to text somebody at first. Like, oh, let me ask you about homework. Oh, let me say like I saw this thing that reminded me of you. So like a kind of a touch thing of being like, oh, I'm only touching you because like, oh, you had like a piece of lint on you.
Yeah, and it helps build your confidence.
Yeah, with actually touching them.
Yeah.
Right, like how like I'm in love with my yoga instructor, and when I go up to her, I'm like, hey, do you teach classes outside of this gym?
I can just see how excited your face is already.
Yeah.
Is she super hot?
She's just the best.
Oh,
she's
is
just
she
great.
married?
It's on a spiritual level.
It's like
oh
the
God, you
light
yogis.
in her sees the light in me.
Namaste.
Fucking yoga.
No, no, but also I remember being like 12,
Yeah.
right? And you'd be sitting next to someone that you had a crush on the bus.
Yeah.
And it was like the powers at B made our knees touch. And I remember just being like, how does this happen? How does that happen? Right.
Yeah.
So I think that body language is such a hard thing to learn. It's like, it's something you do every day, but you don't think about it.
And with every new relationship you're in, it's like you're basically starting over, feeling comfortable, like being affectionate and touchy with somebody. Like every relationship I'd been in before, like I was awkward at first, then by the end of it, I'm like, no, cool, I feel fine. Just like whatever. Just trying to be sturdy. But then like even when I started dating Mott's like years ago or whatever, I remember it was also different because we started off as friends. So that felt like a weird like Joey Rachel thing of being like, oh God, are we allowed to do this? But I remember like not feeling, I don't know, you like feel nervous, like, oh, should I hold his hand? Like, oh, is he gonna think this is weird or whatever? But like now at this point, it doesn't matter.
But that's the fun.
It is the fun.
I think
It's part
not
of the
knowing the
how someone feels.
Well, because again, like it's just like the love languages, right?
Yeah.
Like you know, there's the 5 love like everyone receives and gives love differently, right? And so it's exciting. It's like new and magical and like wondrous. Like oh my God,
I think
like
it is too.
I'm supposed to. What if I just like touch your leg? Oh my God! Oh my God! I did. You know what I mean? It's really cool to be in that like exciting new fresh phase, and I think that the fact that it's scares people and makes them uncomfortable is why it's so fun.
Oh, totally.
You know?
Yeah, it does.
Let's get into
let's hear the response.
I was actually in a very similar situation about almost a year ago now, where I was a virgin. I barely ever kissed anyone, nothing more than like a peck on the lips. And I didn't even really know how to be in a relationship. But I did meet a guy, and we're still together, and he's absolutely amazing. And I just wanted to let her know that if he is the right guy, or you know, if he is a good guy, he will be willing to talk with her and lead her through anything. Like the guy I'm with now I'm completely inexperienced, so he was completely willing to wait. He didn't even like ask me about sex or anything until like 6 months in. Like he didn't expect anything from me until I was completely ready for it. And even when I was, he was willing to teach me and lead me through it. And that's like even just with like everything. I'm probably completely innocent. Like I don't know really anything at all. He'll still make jokes, and I'm like, huh? I don't get it. But if it might be a little late for her, it was a couple weeks ago. But if he is the right guy, he will be willing to help her out.
Well, I'm so glad we played this one after that other call we had.
Yeah, that was very, very pure and very uplifting and very like girls helping girls.
Yeah.
I loved that. That was great.
It was so sweet.
Yeah, that was great.
Because we keep saying it in hypotheticals, but like now you actually like you have proof. You don't have just two people saying like the right guy won't care, but you're like, really? But now you actually have someone who has been through that exact thing.
Wow.
Helps with the first caller too.
Yeah, exactly.
What a lovely little community.
Olha o contra-ataque aí. Vem que vem o time avançando rápido pela linha de campo. Bola dominada no pé do camisa 10. Ele vai pra cima, passou pelo primeiro, passou pelo segundo. E bateu a grande área, vai chutar. Bateu, é gol! Que golaço, minha gente!
A experiência de futebol mais autêntica já criada para os games. Junte-se no 5x5 Rush, a nova maneira de jogar com os amigos e leve seu clube para a vitória. EA Sports FC 25. Dê tudo pelo clube. Já disponível.
That you've built so here, cute. Just like girls helping girls, man.
I love it.
That. That's rad.
I
That's
love
so
it.
Cool.
It's a lot of girl power here.
Hell yeah.
And some boys too.
Hey, man.
We don't discriminate against the boys.
No,
we love them. They've got issues too. The boys will call in have deep issues too.
Yeah, I was one of those. I am one of those.
Yeah. Everyone has issues. We all do. Mm-hmm. We're like magazines?
That's humans. The tagline. Don't blame me. Everyone has issues.
Everyone has issues. Oh my gosh. Well, guys, that was it for this episode. Jonah, thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me on.
You were great.
Thank you so much.
We also think very similarly.
Mm-hmm.
Every time that you said something, that was the exact next thing I was going to say in the same phrasing.
Really?
Did you go to college?
Yeah, I did a year in college.
Okay, great. We have been the exact same amount of college. I was like, we're at the exact same level. And so I was like, that's so funny. And I was like, I bet literally, like, I fully feel like it was so funny.
That's rad.
It was great. I was just listening to me like, no, that's exactly what I was going to say and how I was going to put those exact words together in order in that sentence.
Well, good. I'm glad that I could be a help.
No, it was great. It was great.
Thanks for having me on.
That was not an insult to you.
I took it as a compliment.
Oh, great. Good. I'm like, oh,
it's
like,
do you think
did you
that,
go to college?
Do you think that like comparing me to you is an insult? Is that I'm gonna psychoanalyze you right now?
Highest compliment.
I was gonna say that should be a compliment.
If you guys want, where can people follow you on the internet or in real life? Give your address.
Yes, so I live at 1242.
I'm so scared that you actually said your address.
No, I didn't. You can follow me on Instagram at Jonah the Great, on Twitter at Jonah Green, and I guess if you're still using Snapchat,
what?
My Snapchat's Jonah Green.
Do you still snap?
No.
So if you guys enjoyed this episode, we would love if you left us a review on the Apple Podcast app. Give us 5 stars. We're a fantastic Uber ride. 5 stars. And if you guys want to call in and leave a voicemail, call 310-694-0976. 5 stars. Yes, 5 stars. And if you're international, you can send us a voice memo to meghanpodcast@gmail.com. And we would love to hear from you guys. And if you're a previous caller from another episode or one from this episode and you want to give us an update, like that girl who I want to know what happened with you and that guy. Like, were you,
which one?
The one with the
right.
lint.
That one
The
girl?
one from the forever ago that we did the response for. I want to hear about that. I want to hear about everybody's life and love and all that stuff. And I also really want the fucking update on mother-in-law. Like super bad.
Yeah, this
really
episode is sponsored by mother-in-laws.
By mother-in-laws. Figure out why. Let us know. Call back in. We'd love to hear. We will see you guys next week and here. Also, this is on YouTube, by the way. Fuck, I forgot to say at the beginning, guys.
If you want to watch on YouTube?
Yeah, if you want to watch the video on YouTube.
Where can they watch it?
On youtube.com/Megan's YouTube channel. We will see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Don't Blame Me is a production by me, produced, directed, and edited by Melissa DeMons, camera operator Shireen Younes, post-production sound by Chris Henry, production assistant Julie Carley, and music by Giacomo Picasso and Ryan Hunter. I'll see you guys next week, and don't blame me if your life, completely fucks up before then. Oh.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all. I'm JJ.
Hey, guys. It's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests to share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to speak of them or talk about them or in any way portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. It would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.